down and businesses reopen, the head of the Centers for Disease Control says a second wave of the virus could be worse, coinciding with flu season.
CDC Director Robert Redfield warning the nation there's a possibility that the assault of the virus on our nation next winter will actually be even more difficult than the one we just went through.
Fox's Todd Pyro. Dr. Redfield says it'll be especially important for people to get flu shots this year to keep hospitals from getting overwhelmed. President Trump announces a 60-day suspension on green cards for immigrants looking to move to the U.S. as permanent residents.
By pausing immigration, we'll help put unemployed Americans first in line for jobs as America reopens.
He says there are still some details to be worked out and that this does not apply to temporary worker visas. America's listening to Fox News.
With coronavirus still spreading, people at higher risk must take extra precautions. You're at higher risk if you are over 65 or if you have any serious underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, or if your immune system is compromised for any reason. If you're at higher risk, wash your hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face. Disinfect frequently touched objects. And wash up after being in public spaces. And when it comes to social situations, less is better. Stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from other people. Better still, stay home if you can. If you're sick, please stay home and away from others. And if you think you've been exposed to the virus, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. In challenging times, the choices you make are critical. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup.
For the best car wash at the best price, then go to the new Nips Car Wash, located at 459 Highway 301 South, down from McDonald's in Jessup. Nips Car Wash features state-of-the-art IQ automatic car wash system. Every car or truck that enters the automatic IQ wash system is scanned to capture its unique vehicle profile to give you a great car wash every time. Nips Car Wash also features 2 self-service bays where you can choose from a variety of accessories such as foam brush, tire brush, bug off, wax, clear coat, and spot-free rinse with powerful blowers located in each bay to top off your car wash experience at an affordable price. For the best quality car wash around, go to the new Nips Car Wash located down from McDonald's on the left on Highway 301 South in Jessup. That's Nips Car Wash with a state-of-the-art IQ automatic wash system on Highway 301 South down from McDonald's in Jessup.
At 7:59 here at the Big Dog WIFO world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply and Nips Car Wash. Waiting on Bill Werkheiser.
Yeah, like I said, talked to him yesterday afternoon, asked him if he's going to call in. He said he's calling in, so he should be calling in shortly.
Be interesting to see what he thinks about the budget process now with Blake Tillery in charge on the Senate side.
Should be interesting. Like I said, he's the one that told us they're going to have to blow it up.
Start all over again from square one because everything's changed.
Everything's changed.
All right, so go over the things that are opening on Friday and then Monday. I know the Strand is opening on Monday.
Right. I saw the billboard coming through town.
Yep.
I already got the movies listed on. So the movie theaters and the restaurants are the ones that open up on Monday. Friday, it's hair salons and gymnasiums and tattoo parlors. And,
all right. Well, this is our call we're waiting for. WIFO-FM. We've got to turn this one on. Good morning, Big Dog Country. Bill Werkheiser with us on the air here at FM 105.5. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
We're doing great, Bill. Appreciate you calling in. A lot going on statewide. Let's start with the appointment of Blake Tillery taking Jack Hill's appointment as the Senate Appropriations Committee. How important is that for our area, and your thoughts on your friend Blake Tillery taking that position?
Well, that is huge. We saw firsthand what it meant to our district, not for Wayne County, but for Jack. I have two senators, and Jack was one of them. and I saw firsthand how important it was. And so that is absolutely huge and very deserving. There's no question, even though he's, just in a second term, he is extremely brilliant. There's no doubt he can handle it, and that's why, there was really very little question of who was going to take that position over once it became known that it needed to be filled. So congratulations to him, and he's going to have his hands full. He's stepping in at a tough time.
Yeah, the lieutenant governor says it'll be interesting to see him look over the intricacies of the budget process. You said last Wednesday, right now, the budget process is going to be the big item when you do get back to session, because right now, as you said, everything's changed. The budget that was discussed is probably going to be scrapped and start over. So that's going to be a difficult process. Your thoughts on what else is going to take place once you get up there?
Yeah, and it's not going to be the big item. It's going to be the only item. I would not be surprised if it's the only thing we worked on, and then, we came back home. We've passed the major pieces we need to take hold of, and the interesting thing with, we were already operating with budget cuts. This past, I've only gone through 6 budgets, but this was the toughest process that I've been involved in with this past year with all these cuts. And it is nowhere close to what we're looking at now. Some are estimating that it's going to be a $4 billion hit because of the coronavirus to our state income.
And still no date on when the session will reconvene, right? I know they're discussing that. I saw the House Speaker, David Rawson, said they're making plans, but no one's given a date on when that will take place.
No, and I know that, that's the question everybody wants to know. And, of course, we are kind of back into a deadline because the budget begins July 1st. So you would think, because it takes about 4 to 5 weeks, so you would think early June. So we'll have an entire May, hopefully, the end of, if that were to happen, if we've got 5 weeks now and started June 1st, that would give us enough time. But I'm sure they don't want to announce because they're waiting to see what the data. Some people are reporting that we've passed the plateau, but I think they just want to be safe and make sure that it's safe to go back.
If you're joining us, just tuning in, again, this is Wednesdays with Werkheiser. State Representative Bill Werkheiser on the phone with us. I know the governor's taking a lot of heat. He had his press conference on last Thursday. He talked about these new guidelines. Businesses some opening up on Friday, some opening up on Monday, but he's been attacked by mayors of Augusta, Savannah, Albany. He's getting crushed by some health officials saying it's too early. The president's guideline was to go all the way to the end of the month. So I guess the obvious question is, why go before the president's guidelines to the end of the month? I saw where the president was asked that question several times in his press briefing yesterday. He said he was going to call the governor and talk to him, but I hadn't heard what that discussion was. But your thoughts on the governor's moves, and should remind a lot of people he got crushed as well as opening the beaches, but I haven't heard anything about the beaches lately. Seems like the beaches are going pretty good, so it's all hit or miss. I guess it's going to be an interesting decision and see what takes place after they open it back up.
Yeah, so it's funny that they're the very people you just named that are yelling the loudest about him opening up. Those were the ones that were yelling the loudest about, why aren't you shutting us down? Just to put things in perspective, he was the 37th governor to do a shutdown, and only 5 remaining governors did it after him. So he was at the very end, and everybody was screaming, shut it down, shut it down. And those were the people you were hearing from. So then, when he shuts it down, not even 2 weeks later, everybody is screaming, where are our freedoms? Let us decide. We're killing the economy. Open it back up. And then he does that, and then, then there's another chorus of, it's too soon. Maybe, who knows? what's really interesting is, I'm hearing from a lot of folks, and I've got a lot of friends who are business owners, and they're struggling, and I get it. And then I've got a daughter-in-law who is a ICU nurse in Cobb County, the second highest number of cases and deaths. She sees it every day. She's scared. They have turned delivery rooms, every available section in the hospital they can has become an ICU unit. They are overrun, and so, if you ask her, she says it's way too soon. If you ask my friends who are business owners, they say, we can handle it, we'll do the right thing. Restaurants can close open up, one of every 3 tables. I don't know, Bob. It's tough. I would encourage people to do this. I feel a little better. We talked some last night. Kemp was questioned. If you want to see his response to this, and I thought he gave a really good answer. He said it was really measured. He talked about the beaches. He said, look, I got yelled at about the beaches. There's been not one incident that was reported from our beaches. People behaved. They were, very separated. But anyway, if you go to Fox News, one of their top stories is the very question you just asked, and they were not easy on him. They questioned, just like you said. Out of all the states, the president was asked, what the heck is Georgia doing? And he said it is a very measured response. And back to the shutdown, one thing that's different that Georgia did that most others, he listed about, I think it was close to 20, barbers, nail salons, fitness gyms that were totally shut down. If you were not in that group, you could operate if you chose, if you could adhere to the 16 or so not recommendations, but restrictions, social distancing, in that whole list that we've heard over and over. The problem with that was, well, if we're under a shut-at-home, order, your customers, if they're only supposed to be going to the grocery store and pharmacy, what good is it to open? And I can tell you this, most of the restaurants, I saw an article yesterday where a lot of restaurants were called, they are not going to open back up. They think it's too early, so let the business decide. So his point was, if we do it in a very measured way, and people are responsible, then let's go from there. But so I don't know. Like I said, if you talk to the healthcare workers, they say it's too soon. If you talk to business owners, they say it's not soon enough.
Right. I mean, everybody's got a different opinion, and they're very difficult decisions, as everybody knows. But both the governor and the city commissioners last night, the mayor made a point that the governor said, look, if you have a gymnasium, it's up to you whether or not you want to open up. It's up to you whether or not you want to visit the gymnasium. Same thing with the massage parlor, barbershop. I mean, it's coming down to individual choices. If you think it's too soon, you don't go. If you think it's safe, you go. So, like I told you, though, the only thing that scares me, if they open it back up and then in 3-4 weeks you see a spike in cases and things like that, my fear is then they're going to shut everything down and maybe nothing will open up for quite some time.
Right.
As a catch-22, it's like you're either way you go, you just hope for the best, but you fear the worst. So these are difficult decisions. So the governor's made it. We'll see how it plays out. But like I just mentioned, he was criticized for opening up the beaches, but as you mentioned, there hasn't been one incident or problem at the beaches. So people are just using the beaches as he told them to do, use common sense, don't have big gatherings. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but it's just amazing how much he's being attacked. But the sad thing, like I told you, we kind of keep it real on the Butch and Bob Show. It seems like it's coming down on political lines, party lines. That's what's sad. Every mayor who criticized the governor supported Stacey Abrams in the governor's race. So it looks like it's becoming a political football, which is sad to see. I mean, you're talking about life and death situations here, but now it's becoming all about politics, and you see it nationwide as well. So it's kind of sad that they're using a pandemic virus to play politics.
And and of course I see that it is every single decision. It doesn't matter if it's a pandemic. If somebody set the date for opening baseball, it's almost like they draw the line. We'll get on this side, you get on that, and again, it was those same mayors who were screaming to shut us down, and then he did, and they said, no, that's local control. And like I said, it doesn't make sense. And one thing I tell people is, he is surrounded by a lot of people, and he's working literally around the clock. They are up there at the Capitol late at night, in the wee hours of the morning. He is surrounded by experts. He's got Dr. Toomey, who think about this. Our top public health official in Georgia, her whole life is an epidemiologist. And so they are trying to listen to both sides and make decisions. And he made a good point in that interview, and I forgot to bring this up last week because on the conference call to the legislators, this was brought up. The data that they update the website every day at noon and at 7 at night. Those numbers are anywhere from 7 to 11 days behind, and you might say, well, that's terrible. How do you operate on that? Well, it's because it's a system, and you're collecting numbers from all over the state, and that's why. In fact, you and I talked about this. You said, why are the numbers in nursing homes and facilities higher than what the state's reporting? Well, Dr. Toomey the other day said during the H1N1, it was the same issue. This is not a new problem. The state verifies the data every single case, and so first of all, if someone dies in a healthcare facility, and you hear that on the local news in that city that day, that facility, that word got out. They may not have even reported it to the state yet because that news breaks within hours. And so by that night or next morning, that case goes to the state, and like any other bureaucratic process. So they are privy to some numbers that you and I are not seeing public. And Kemp mentioned in his response last night in his interview that some people, because the thing about data is you got 7 different people pushing numbers out, and they're not all consistent. But he said one of the solid sources said that the peak was April 6th. And, I said this several weeks ago when the tests were taken 2 weeks to come back. I told you that we're going to see a spike, and we're going to be 2 weeks past whatever those numbers are showing. Because remember, like Wayne County was one of the later counties, and Evans was even after that kept showing 0 cases. And then all of a sudden, even though 6 or 7 is still a low number, but they all came almost at one time. Well, those first 6 cases might have happened 2 weeks ago. Well, most people, you remember, close to 90-something% are recovering from this. So there was a 95% chance that those first 6 cases in Wayne County, since we haven't had any deaths, by the time that Wayne County reported that we had 6 cases, they were well. They were just waiting out their self-quarantine period. So, that complicates. And I say all that to say, they're looking at data. He's trying to make a safe decision, but who knows?
Maybe you can answer this question. One thing I haven't seen lately, for the last several weeks, they were talking about when Georgia would hit its peak It was like April 21st, April 23rd, and it's pushed back. I haven't heard that date listed. Some say we've already passed that date. What have you heard? Has Dr. Toomey stated lately on what the peak is for the state of Georgia? Have we passed it? Are we still about to approach it, or what have you heard?
I think most will agree that we've passed it, and maybe barely so. The site that I've been looking at, there's two different main sites. One showed we passed it about 4 days ago, but that's what Kemp was saying, that some of the experts are saying that we may have passed it as early as April 6th. And that sounds too early to me, but again, I'm not in there every day with looking at it. So they can't even agree if and when it was, but most will tell you that we're past it. But so here's a good argument, and Trump said this last night in that press conference you referred to, is that the reason it's going so well and that the numbers are declining is because of the social distancing. Everybody be careful. I mean, and look at when you go to the post office or go to the pharmacy store, everybody's wearing gloves and masks. It's because we've done all this that it hasn't been any worse. So that begs the question, do we keep doing this, or do we open it back up because we've gotten past it? And again, that's anybody's guess.
And one thing that should be pointed out as well, the governor and everybody stressed that even these businesses that are opening up, they have guidelines they have to follow in order to do that, right? I think the mayor said they're going to post those on our city website. So, I mean, it's not going to be like it was before. We walk in a restaurant, everybody's sitting next to each other. They're going to have social distancing in the restaurants and things like that. So, and the question people just ask, though, you think about tattoo parlors, massage parlors, things like that. And how are you going to do social distancing there? That's what people were questioning. Everybody seemed to have the answer. I think Dr. Burke said they're just going to have to be innovative and come up with ways. But again, as they said, it comes down to personal choice. Well, everybody has an individual choice whether they want to do it or not do it. So, but as the governor says, some of these people, that's their livelihood, that's their business, and we had that discussion many times. Who decides what's essential, what's not essential? So that's what you see on these protests that are going on. I see those signs. Who's to say what's essential and non-essential? So if it's your livelihood, it's essential to you.
It's essential, yeah. Well, two thoughts on that. Look at how we've changed everything. So I go to the post office at night to get my mail, and when you look in to the closed lobby, they've got plastic draped everywhere, screens. If you go to Lowe's, they've got big plexiglass everywhere. So think about this. And Kemp, in response last night, he made a valid point. He said, you go to a business that follows all these recommendations, and let's say you go to a restaurant that's only got 8 or 10 people in there. He said, you're telling me that that's not safer than going to Walmart? I mean, and that's the other argument about opening up. These small businesses are saying, wait a minute, Lowe's and Walmart, the big box stores, get to make all the money they want, but me as a small business owner, I've got to be shut down. So, people are going to Walmart like crazy. And and the other thing is, your comment about, your personal freedom, like if it's my decision, if I want to stay home, I stay home. But my daughter-in-law will tell you, because she's seeing people die literally every day, is that if you choose not to go home and you get infected and you pass it on, and someone goes home to their 80-year-old mother to visit, to take them food, that's not fair. And she's seeing family members who are having to say goodbye via FaceTime. And so I guess it depends what world you live in, if you're a business owner or if you're a healthcare worker. So, again, if you're in those leadership positions, it's going to be tough, and you're going to be criticized. And and the reality is, we can debate this all day long. We're not going to know until a week from now or 10 days whether he made the right decision.
Right. And it's a big decision. It's like the president keeps saying it's going to be the most important decision he makes. I mean, these are tough decisions, but I'm not making them. But it's, you hope you make the right decision. But as they said, they're trying to balance. They're hearing from all sides. They're hearing from health officials saying you got to be cautious. Some are saying, listen to the health officials. They're already putting a scare out there that the second wave is going to be worse than this one. I don't know how that could be, but they're saying come fall when the flu season hits and this comes back, it's going to be another second wave. So I don't know if anybody's got the answer. I think everybody's just getting it. But as I mentioned to you, what's frustrating to a lot of people is there's no one consistent playbook. I mean, everybody seems to be doing their own different thing. I saw where the president talked about Florida golf courses are shut down, where I know courses in Georgia open up because they feel that you got open spaces and they're social distancing, so everybody's playing by a different set of rules. No one's playing. It just doesn't seem like there's one playbook for this. Every state seems to be doing their own thing, so it's just interesting to see it play out. But like I said, these people in government positions are making decisions, and they're just hoping that they're getting the best advice they can to make the right decision. But as you said, we won't know if the government made the right decision for 2-3 weeks down the road.
Yeah. And I mean, that's got to be weighing on him very heavily. And so, and again, his response was, this is a very measured response. And for the businesses who decide to open, okay, let's say I've got a friend that owns a fitness gym up in Cherokee County, owns a couple of them. He's moving equipment around. They're going to check for temperatures when they come in. No piece of equipment will be within 6 feet of another. And he knows, even if he decides, he's making these moves now. He hasn't even decided if he's going to open her yet. But he knows this. If he does open, his business, if he announces, hey, we're open tomorrow, he knows more than half of his customers are going to make the decision, well, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. So, again, will that be safer than Walmart? Probably. And he was one of the 20 businesses that were 100% shut down. So I guess that's the governor's theory, is that if everybody does what they're told to do with these recommendations, you can open. And then it's up to the consumer if they want to take that risk. So, I've seen all these videos of Walmart, and the people that are open, again, it seems like Walmart and the hardware stores seem to be overflowing. I guess people are bored and doing projects at home. They say all the stores can't keep enough plants. So we're going to have a beautiful Georgia when it's all over. Everybody's planting.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Like I said, there's two sides. There's two stories going on. There's the health story, and then there's the economic story. And like I said, the economy is definitely taking a major hit. You see the unemployment numbers continue to rise, not only here in the state of Georgia, but all across the United States. So, it'll be interesting to see how they balance that. Like I said, you see the frustration starting to build across the country. People are, tired of being cooped up in their home. They're saying enough's enough. We got to get back to some type of normalcy. It'll be interesting to see if we get back to any type of normalcy. See if any of these sporting venues open back up. Will we see college football, pro football? I saw where Germany's already canceled the Oktoberfest, and it's only April. So, that's a huge event in their country. So, it'll be interesting how it all plays out. Like I said, the governor stepped out there on Thursday, made these decisions. Friday's a big day for a lot of businesses opening up. We'll see how they do, see if they've got people ready to get into the business. And then Monday, the restaurants, the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I got my fingers crossed. Hopefully it all works out for the best. Hopefully we can see some people open back up, get back to some type of normalcy, try to revive the economy and try to, but it'll be interesting to see how you legislators, when you do get to Atlanta, what all takes place with that budget, because that's going to be, as you said, that's probably going to be the story, because that's the one thing you're obligated to do is pass a budget. So
yeah, and the irony there is,
I'm sure you'll see the figures when you get up there. It's funny. You go back before this pandemic virus hit. The governor was already taking steps to try to cut budget and saying he was worried about an impossible recession down the road, but no one saw this coming. So this is just like the Titanic.
Well, think about this. When I walked in those doors the second week of January, Georgia was at the lowest unemployment in the history of the state. The economy was on fire. And then look at where we are, 10 weeks later. That wasn't very long ago.
Again, we do appreciate you being here on Wednesdays with Werkheiser. They said it's just amazing to see the reaction from the governor's announcement. I said, he's got to have tough skin. But as you mentioned, he's not making this decision by himself. He has experts. Talk a little bit about, you see the national press conferences and Dr. Burke's there, Dr. Fauci's there. Here in Georgia, the lady in charge is Dr. Kathleen Toomey. Tell us a little bit about her background, how much experience she has, because I know the governor's relying on her expertise when he makes these decisions. So tell us about her. Well,
she was an epidemiologist. I think she's in her early to mid-70s. She was an epidemiologist for many years, and then she was under the Deal administration, and sorry, I can't even think of what agency she was put in charge of, but she hasn't been the director of DPH, Department of Public Health, very long, but long enough that she made a lot of systemic changes, and people, I can tell you this, I have yet to hear anybody say anything negative about her, and that's tough when you're that high up in a position. I had a bill dealing with ambulance services. Really wasn't affecting our area as much, but I was giving it to Shepard, and it had to do with government transparency and zoning. And anyway, it gets really deep in the weeds. But anyway, the bill fell under Department of Public Health. So I say all that to say I really had not been around her much. But anyway, the bill, as most bills, don't make it through crossover. So we set up a meeting with her, and she was very personal, and I knew she had a million things on her plate. That's a pretty big agency. And so she sat down with us, and immediately, within weeks, she implemented some of those. She sent out, she put people in charge and said, we need to collect data on this, and we need to update our handbooks. And I'm telling you, she made changes just based on me asking for a meeting with her. Now, it took nearly a month and a half to get a meeting with her because again, she's busy, and that was before all this hit. I sure couldn't get a meeting with her now, but I'm just saying that her leadership style is one that everybody has embraced, and she is just so smart. And so, and Kemp, almost every time he's questioned about something, he always deflects her and says, "Look, I'm relying on her and her wealth of information." Remember, with her age and what she's done, she's been through several. She's been through the H1N1 and several others. So she knows this stuff backwards and forwards as much as anybody can. Now, the problem is we don't know what we don't know about this virus because, like everybody has said, it's so different and it's new. So she's having to guess like everybody else, but she's guessing from a knowledgeable standpoint, unlike the Monday morning quarterbacks who think they have all the answers. So we're very fortunate in Georgia to have her.
One other thing before I let you go, some people have gotten their stimulus checks, some haven't. But the question I want to ask you about the small business loans. I know small businesses there's a program where they can apply for these loans, try to stay open, help their employees. How do you hear that's going? Do you hear from small business owners? Are they receiving those loans, or is there a problem with the loans, or what's the update on that?
I have. And this is, again, where you got to love living in South Georgia, where you know your local banker. It's been more successful in areas where you have a relationship with your banker. If you live in Marietta or down Carolina and you bank with Wells Fargo along with 6 other million people, they're having more difficulty. But I've got a friend in Dublin who's got pretty sizable hardware store. He's a statewide supplier of sports teams, and he was able to get the PPP and the other one. And so he says the process has been very good. But again, he's a good business owner. He's got a relationship with his banker, so his banker has confidence. What I've heard is they've been so overwhelmed that the money, and that's one of the things about the press conference with the governor last night. They appropriated more money because it ran out so quick, and there was more than one reason for that. And they said that they knew that even if it was used appropriately, which it never is, because somebody is always going to game the system, and we've seen that. But so they've appropriated more money because there are a lot of people that have said they've not been successful. But from what I've heard, unless those people aren't contacting me, that it's been pretty good in our area.
Okay. Sounds good, Bill. Again, we do appreciate your time here on Wednesdays with Werkheiser. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. Wish the governor the best with his decision-making. Got my fingers crossed that it all works out well. Like I said, his decision on the beaches turned out to be pretty good. So hopefully these decisions that he's making on Friday and Monday turn out as good. I say he's not the only governor, though. Other states are doing the same. I think Tennessee, Texas.
Yeah, I think we brought up in an earlier conversation that the Democratic governor in Colorado has basically made the same decision, and you're not hearing about them in the news. So, again, unfortunately, everything is a political battle.
Well, like I said, I just hate to see politics played in. I like the governor's comments. He said he didn't give a blank about politics. He's he's trying to do what he thinks is best for. He's trying to. It's like a tightrope. He's doing that balancing act. Is the health issue, and there's the economy issue. People are hurting. Small business owners are hurting. They just they're chomping at the bit. Like I said, he said it best in his press conference. Look, I'm hearing from thousands and thousands of people saying, look, we need to open this back up. We're ready to get back to work. We need to open our business back up. And as we stated many times on the show, it's essential to you if you own a business. Who's to say your business isn't essential? If you're a barber in Wayne County and that's your only source of income, or you're a massage therapist, or a business, you got to own a gym. That's your livelihood. So they are chomping the bit. So,
and that
the mayor said it best last night. Look, it's your personal choice. If you don't think it's safe, no one's forcing you to go to the gym. No one's forcing you to go to the restaurant. So it basically comes down to personal choice. So, but the governor's made this choice, and like I said, I don't think he's made it by himself. As you mentioned, he's got several people that he relies on to make these decisions. So he stepped out there, but he sure is getting criticized by a lot of people.
Yeah.
He's taking a hit.
Well, he's getting criticized and he didn't do it. So,
he's got to have tough skin. But I give him credit. He's standing by his decision. He's not backing down. I'm just curious to see what the president's conversation with the governor was. And like I said, the president was asked several times by the national media, what about Georgia? What about Georgia? And he said, look, I'm going to have a conversation with the governor as soon as this press conference is over. But I haven't heard what that conversation was between the governor and the president, what was said, what was recommended. So it'll be interesting to see the press conference this afternoon. I'm sure the president will be asked again, and he'll probably give an update on what was said. But again, Bill, we appreciate your time. Like I said, good luck if the session does get back in with the budget. We'll look forward to hearing from you and Stephen and Blake Tillery. But we appreciate all three of you taking your time and being on the show Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I think it's very informative. People enjoy it and like hearing from representation. So wish you the best. Stay safe. And again, thanks for being here on the show on Wednesdays.
All right. Well, thank y'all very much. Johnson and Butch, have a good one.
Okay. Again, those comments of Representative Bill Werkheiser on a Wednesday with Werkheiser.
All right, that's the world-famous Butch and Bob Show at 8:36, brought to you by Nips Car Wash and Murphy Builder Supply. Let's get a quick update from Fox News Radio right after this.
And then along came